Hi, everybody out there. Welcome back for interview number 2 in the Coach's Corner. And for this interview, we're going to kind of flip the script a little bit, and I am going to interview these 3 young men here. So just to reintroduce them, we have catcher Christian Campus, we have outfielder Ethan Young, and outfielder Reed Long. Gentlemen, ready?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. So, Christian, we'll start with you. The first
Right.
question: what were your 2 reasons two deciding factors in deciding to commit to Bethany College?
All right. So the first one I would say is the location of Bethany. It's only an hour 15 from my house, but also it's kind of in the middle of the woods. And that basically appealed to me because it's kind of like its own little world down there. I mean, there's not much around there, and I kind of like that. Like, it feels like a Bethany bubble. And the second reason I would say is the culture just on campus and around. Everyone knows everyone. And whenever I went there on my overnight, I went to a class with a player that was on the team at the time. And the professor actually was giving me worksheets and stuff as if I was just another student in the class. He even asked me if I wanted to get on the radio and talk. And I was like, that's a little much for me, but it felt good, like, to be recognized, even though I was just a recruit there at the time. So I really like that. But those are the 2 things I would say played a huge role in there. And even to this day, the culture, I think, is what makes it special at Bethany, because I could be walking around and professors will say hi to me and acknowledge me because they actually know who I am.
Seems like a pretty welcoming environment from day one, even before you started to enroll in class here. Ethan, your turn. What are your 2 reasons?
My 2 reasons are very similar. The first one that I was thinking of is the small class sizes. Just like Campus said, I really like the personal connections. I too went on an overnight, and I went into a class with one of the business professors that isn't there right now or anymore, but he started asking me questions in the class, and I was just there for a day. Now, it was a little nerve-wracking at first, but it's just how comfortable everyone is with visitors and guests, and just how friendly overall the teaching staff, coaching staff, just everybody at Bethany was. And the other reason would be it's close to home, and I saw that there would be a good chance that I had to play freshman year. I looked at that. I wanted to stay close to home just so my family could come see the games. And I saw a great opportunity to start as a freshman, or at least get some playing time. So I weighted both of those options pretty heavily when I was looking at colleges to go to.
Awesome. Reed.
Yeah, I gotta agree with Ethan and Christian. The proximity to home was like a really big thing for me, because the other 2 options that I had was either Ohio University or Virginia, and both of those are at least 3 hours away from home. So the proximity being an hour away was a really big thing for me, as well as the ability to play at the collegiate level, of course, and get a good education from a really good liberal arts institution was a big thing for me.
Awesome. So since you guys both were mentioning, or all 3 of you guys were mentioning the academic side of things, I'll go to this question next, and we'll start with Ethan. What is your long-term goal in regards to your career, and how do you feel that a Bethany education is preparing you for it?
That's always a good question. I'm not necessarily sure exactly what my end goal will be for what my career path. I think as of now, I'd say I'd want to go into something in the financial industry, whether that's financial advising, mortgages, insurance, just something in that industry, that sector. But the nice thing about Bethany is no matter what I choose to do, whether anything in the financial industry, or even if I'd switch to something else, just more business related, a lot of my courses and classes are geared towards skills I can use wherever I go. Because with my major, math and economics, I learned the economic theory of things, but I also learned the math behind it. So I can apply those to pretty much wherever I'd end up going, especially with finance and stuff like that. And also Bethany's been very good at just putting me in front of the right people, that alumni that just know how to get to show students how to get to where they are now, which I think is invaluable. Having those resources and having those connections even before you get out into the work world, that Bethany provides has been great.
Awesome. That's a good answer. Reed, long-term goals, and how is your Bethany education helping to prepare you for that?
So my long-term goals are, once I graduate, I want to attend law school, of course, and the goal with that would be to get into a corporate firm and work. I don't really have a specialization. I'm interested in family law as well as environmental law. So those are two things that would be nice to get into, of course, but I'm not really going to be picky about that. So I would like to work at a corporate firm for a good amount of time, and then later in life, I'd like to run for public office of some sort, as well as be an educator, whether that's high school or at the college level. That's something that I'm really interested in. And the way I think Bethany's preparing me for that is, I agree with Ethan on the alumni connections. I think our networking is really, really good, especially for such a small school. And not just even, they have a good connections in the Pittsburgh area, but all around the country, you are going to probably find a Bethany alum somewhere.
Yeah.
And if you have interest in going somewhere, and there's a good chance that somebody in your field is at least in that region. So I think it's really helpful with how well our alumni connections are, as well as the small class sizes, like we said before. I think that's really key to making well-rounded individuals, which Bethany continues to do.
Mr. Campus?
All right, so for me, I'm studying physical education, but coming into Bethany, I was undecided. Obviously didn't want to pick anything to rush it. So I feel like they prepared me well from the start, because they put me in a wide variety of gen ed courses and stuff like that, so that by the second semester of my freshman year, I had declared a major, which obviously was phys ed. But from that point on, they've been really good with connecting me with observations to go sit with and observe classes from a bunch of schools in the area, Brook, Wheeling, stuff like that. And actually, it really stood out to me that during COVID, because we're not allowed in schools, they had us go to the Wheeling YMCA to teach the kids there, because they weren't in schools on Wednesdays. So for me, it's always like Bethany's going the extra mile just to get us experience and, connections within that manner. Obviously, that's good for me to put on my resume that I was basically teaching students at the Wheeling YMCA. So that's what stood out to me.
Good. That's good. I actually got 2 positive reports about your teaching efforts this past fall, Christian. So that was always good too. That was good to hear as well. Reed, what is it like to have 2 different head coaches during your time as a college baseball player?
I think it's been a really unique experience, especially since I got to split 2 and 2 essentially with you as well as Coach Carver. I think being able to learn 2 different systems essentially is a big thing that helps us as players, especially our upperclassmen that have experience being with both coaches. I think it's just been interesting to see how different the program was before and how it is now. And obviously, I think the culture change that we did experience, having the positive impact that it did my junior year, I think that was just something that really put us in a good direction going forward and is going to help us to continue to develop kids. So I think it's a really good thing to have had both coaches.
Christian, what's it like to have 2 different head coaches during your time as a college baseball player?
I would definitely say for me, it was weird at first because, when Coach Carv left, for me, it was like, well, I didn't commit here to be a player for you, even though we didn't know it was going to be you at the time. I didn't commit to be for a different coach. But then when you took over, it felt like not only did it make all of us closer as friends and teammates, I really saw the change in approach, how you basically let us do what we do as teammates and as friends. I think we all grew closer, and letting us, have input and basically molded into our own culture, and you just influenced it and put things here and there. I felt like that had a huge impact. And for me, it's been pretty cool, though, to see how everyone emotionally was just drained my freshman year to just, we skyrocketed in emotion my sophomore year and junior year. So I'm looking forward to this year.
Ethan, what is it like to have two different head coaches in as your time as a college baseball player?
So my answer is pretty similar to theirs as well, but for me, it wasn't too difficult of a transition for two reasons. One, throughout my entire life, whether it was with baseball, basketball, whatever, I've had a variety of different coaches that I would play for in the same year. So I'd play high school baseball with my high school coaches, and then I'd go play summer ball with one, maybe even two different coaches, two different teams, because I was always going around. And back when I was younger, I played AAU basketball as well and was switching from coach to coach and getting to learn a bunch of different coaching styles, which was great. And ultimately, it was a good time no matter who was the coach, whatever sport I was playing. So the transition wasn't too like out of nowhere for me. Like I've been able to experience that before this. But I think the other thing that was really important when I went into it, making it not difficult, was kudos to you. I think the transition really went as smooth as it possibly could have. I felt like when we started practice, our first lift, it felt like you were our coach for the last, well, it would only been 1 year, but for the last year anyway. You just kind of came in like we knew that you were our coach from the moment you came in. And so the transition was super easy for those two reasons for me, but kudos to you again. I thought the transition was really smooth, and excited to see our last seasons together.
All right, well, I appreciate that, guys. Thank you. And we're gonna circle back to that later with our second round of questions. So we'll see if we can get the real honest answers out of you guys. The next question, we'll start with Ethan. How do you feel that the fall went in regards to practice and navigating through class, having to deal with the COVID protocols and navigating through all those things?
So for COVID, I think all things considered, it went really well. I was very thankful ultimately to be back at Bethany. I know a lot of my friends had to opt fully online, or just didn't even have the option, had to stay home and do online classes. Way back to your first question, the reason I came here was personal connections and being in front of people and being in front of professors. Being online, just not ideal for that. I'd much rather be in a classroom setting and get back to normal as soon as possible. I think we did that. Bethany did that as best and as safely as they possibly could. So school-wise, it was great. I think with baseball practices, and obviously us having a bigger squad this year with the returning seniors and everything, I think it went very well. I think ultimately we had some of the biggest hardships to face going into our COVID protocol throughout compared to the other sports, with just kind of the timeline and how long it took for us to fully get together as a team. But we made the most out of it. I mean, the groups we created, the workouts we did, the practices we had before we could ultimately do our Green and White World Series were helpful. We got our reps in, and then, man, it felt good to get the whole team back together. So that was nice, and I'm looking forward to hopefully getting into team practices and stuff quicker, but right when we get back into the spring semester. So overall, I think it was good, and I think it was as best it could be.
Cool. Reed.
Yeah, I agree with Ethan that it was as best as it probably could have went. Yeah, at times, obviously, the small groups That could be a little annoying being separated from everybody. We all obviously want to be together and stuff.
Right.
But I do think, especially for maybe some of the younger guys, it was a unique experience because they got probably a lot more educational moments one-on-one with somebody older or with the coaches that they probably wouldn't have got all around, because I think we had more guys probably educated in that way, I guess you could say, like a more hands-on approach, just because of the smaller groups and it being a little bit more intimate than it usually is, being 40 guys, 35 guys in that range. So I think that went really well with the lifting groups. We talked about that before, how some of the younger guys kind of latched on the older guys for the lifting and some of the practices and stuff. I think it gave a lot more mentorship for some of our freshmen and some of our sophomores, guys like that. Is for class wise, I think that I was a little disappointed because I didn't have any classes in person myself, but it overall really didn't affect me the way that I thought it would, just being a really social person. So all in all, I think that it went pretty smoothly, and I really give Bethany a lot of credit for bringing us back.
Mr. Campus, again, how do you feel that the
so-
fall went?
All right, so for the class side of it, I thought that it went really well because all of my professors, they were really good at like adapting, and a lot of them first day of class were talking to us about like what might happen in different scenarios, or if we felt comfortable meeting in person, or what days we would want to meet in person or just do on Zoom. And I think that worked out really well, and they were pretty lenient on a lot of things because obviously not everyone's going to feel comfortable with a pandemic going on. But the baseball side of things, I think it actually brought us closer as a team because in previous years, let's say a freshman needs a ride to practice, he's probably going to hit up other freshmen and try to get a ride. But this year there might not be that many other freshmen in the group, so us older kids might have to grab him or stuff like that. And then next thing you know, you're pretty close with a lot of the kids that you probably wouldn't have got the opportunity to talk to that much. And I also think that honestly, being in the groups and navigating COVID kind of worked as an advantage in a way, because when we did start going live, the hitters were seeing pitchers that they never even saw throw before. So you don't know what this guy's got. Like, you don't know any of his pitches. So I think it was just a chance for us to compete like mini teams, sort of. And I think that really worked out to our favor in a way. But altogether, I think that we did a pretty good job just adapting both baseball-wise and class-wise, because things are going to continue to change as well.
Yeah, and I'll say kudos to you guys and everybody else that's a part of the team, because I'm sure you guys remember about 5 months ago I emailed you guys a game plan for the fall, and I think before you guys got here it changed about 3 times. But I think that it was important for you guys to have a plan to follow, and then we can just write it all in pencil, and we can erase and edit as we go along. But as time went on, we were able to do those things. So kudos to you three, and then the other guys that are members of the program as well, players on the team, because everybody had to adjust. So that was really, really big. This question here, Reed, we're going to start with you for this one because it's kind of a 2-part, but only you can answer the second part. We're going to go back. Okay, so we're going to go back to March in Myrtle Beach here. And, after we won our last game that Thursday night, I told you guys about what could possibly happen to our season. So, Reed, I want to ask, what was your initial feeling whenever you heard that the season was done? And more specifically for you, how did you feel knowing that your career at that moment could potentially be over? Because, again, this is before the NCAA had put out any kind of waiver or anything like that. So, Christian and Ethan, I know you guys still had one more year left. And Reed, excuse me, this was your last go-round. So how did you, when you first heard it, what were your initial feelings? And I'm sure there was a lot of uncertainty, but I'll let you go ahead and answer the question.
Yeah, I mean, when just as an initial thought, like not thinking about myself and the implications it would have for me, have probably leaving, I just kind of thought like, man, why right now? Because I thought we just had a lot of momentum building up at that point at the end of the Myrtle trip. I think that we were just starting to click, and we were doing a lot of things well offensively for sure, and defense and pitching. It was kind of all coming together for us. And I just thought that we were really poised to come back north and do something really, really special. So that was my initial thought, just from a team standpoint. Like, man, this really sucks, just because of how well we were starting to mesh and work together. For myself, I honestly thought that night was probably going to be the last time that I would step on a baseball field competitively, like in any manner. So I just had a lot of emotions at that point and felt a lot of things that I was like, didn't know how to comprehend at the moment. And honestly, not until probably late April that I think I was coming back. So for a short period of time, probably about a month, I didn't think I was going to play again. And then some things came together, and I decided I was going to come back for a second degree. And now I'm here, and I'm really thankful to be here, just because, like I said, I didn't think I would be. So yeah, it was something else at that point.
Yeah. Christian, what was your initial feeling whenever you heard that the season was going to be cut short due to the pandemic?
My initial reaction was like, this sucks. I mean, I was kind of in shock. Not only like was our season canceled, but when this whole pandemic thing started, it wasn't really in the US, so I wasn't really thinking about it that much. But whenever you start telling us that the season's in jeopardy and stuff like that, it really hits home that not only is our season canceled, but a lot of our lives are in danger. And it does suck that the season was basically in jeopardy or over, delayed. But we were hitting a good stride there. I know Ethan here was parking balls in the gap against Burks and whatnot. And we were riding a good wave there. We had that pulled out that last win, and then we got that bad news. So that was kind of a damper. And then getting back to school and having to pack things up and go home, that really sucked. But it really puts things into perspective, just that there is life beyond sports that we needed to worry about there. But it did suck to have the season canceled.
Ethan?
Yeah, my answer is just kind of a combination of all those. I mean, when we first got the call that the pack was closing down, it felt surreal in just a terrible way. It just felt like a bad dream, because it didn't seem like it actually was happening. It seemed like we'd get back to Bethany, because we were obviously in Myrtle, so we weren't even back at Bethany yet. And I just felt like we'll get back to Bethany. I'm going to go to my dorm room and sleep because I'm tired after the long bus ride, and I'm going to wake up the next day and everything will be fine. But the moment we get back to Bethany, we're told we have to pack our things and leave. That's when it really set in that something's not right. Something's actually going on that, I mean, obviously no one really understood at the time. We still kind of don't. But it was like a bad dream. And also it kind of got me thinking, thankfully I knew I had another season coming back, but especially for Reed, I feel like this really brought into perspective to never take things for granted. I think playing baseball and just playing our games in Myrtle and having the success, but also just being able to step out on a baseball field and play, you take it for granted and you think, oh, I'm going to wake up the next day and that's where I'm going to go. I'm going to go there after class to either practice, or I'm going to go there before class and get some work in, whatever it may be. You just think there's going to be another day where you take the field. And when that was taken away, it was a feeling that I've never personally felt before, kind of a slap in the face, saying when you get back on the field, you can't you can't take it for granted. You got to appreciate every moment, because just like that, things can be shut down or things can be taken away. And I think just overall, 2020 and this pandemic has really shown that to everyone, not just for baseball, but for everything. Just don't take things for granted and live every day like it may be your last, or it might be taken away from you.
Yeah, definitely. It was definitely one thing that it was definitely a message that I never thought that I would have to deliver. So, going into the game, I knew the message I had to deliver to you guys after the game. So I'm coaching this game thinking like, man, how am I going to tell these guys this? I don't know. I'm literally coaching the game and trying to think of the right words to deliver to you guys, and then, I spoke with our opposing team before the game, and we were actually very fortunate because at that moment, the conference had postponed our season. I was speaking with one of the coaches from Lancaster Bible College. Him and I had coached in the same summer league for the same team at different times. So we had started talking and stuff like that. And they had knew before the game that their season was done. So they had to tell their players that the season was over after their game tomorrow. They had their game that Friday, and then that was it. So I really had to take a step back and say it was a little bit easier, to relay the message of the season being postponed, where those young men found out that Thursday night that, hey, your last game for the year was going to be tomorrow, and then whenever we got back to Bethany, I actually went online and looked, and they won. So I was actually thankful that they found out Thursday night that the next day could be their last game. And then I'm not sure who they played, but they had won that game Friday. So that made me feel a little bit easier. And I wasn't, I'm not involved in the program, but just as a baseball coach and a baseball fan, I was a lot easier it was an easier pill for me to swallow, and I wasn't there. But that was a really good answer. So now we're gonna have some fun. All right.
Oh boy.
Ready? Question number 1. Hamburger or hot dog, Campus? Pick one. And what's your condiments too? Let me know your condiments.
All right. I'm going to go with hamburger just because I feel like it's more versatile in my opinion. And you can put a lot of different things on it. But personally, I'm going to go with Swiss cheese.
Okay.
I'm going to go with some garlic sauce from Buffalo Wild Wings, garlic Parmesan sauce.
All right.
No, that's not normal, but we got it in the fridge here, and we never have wings, so I throw it on there all the time. Maybe a sliced tomato, but just one. But I like my food, so I'll take a second burger, put some cheddar on it, put some mayo on it,
Ooh.
and then we get the tomato on it, and maybe a nice little kosher pickle on the side.
I see you. All right. I always thought the mayo on the hamburger was an old school thing. So it's nice to see a younger individual doing that. Ethan, hamburger, hot dog, and what's your condiments?
I think I'm going to choose a hamburger as well. I think I just personally like those more and would order those more at like a restaurant or something. For what I'd put on mine usually, I'd go with some lettuce, tomato, bacon, American cheese, melted on the patty, of course.
Nacho cheese, like at the ballpark, or would you just melt?
No, just the melted
Okay.
on. So just grill it on with it. And you said the mayonnaise. Well, I have to say my favorite sauce is mayo chup, the combination of mayonnaise and ketchup.
Wow.
If you put that on a burger, I think it's almost unstoppable. That's probably my favorite sauce in the game right now.
Off on you.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, that is
Literally
true.
mayo chup for everything.
Yeah.
Reed, hamburger, hot dog. Let me hear the condiment.
I mean, if I'm at a restaurant, I'm probably getting a hamburger, but my go-to is probably a Sheetz hot dog, the 2-for-1s. I'm going with the Sheetz hot dogs, the 2-for-1s, and I'm putting diced onions, bacon, American cheese, and mayo chup on that hot dog.
Wow.
And I'm telling you, it's one of the best things you'll ever have.
So I have keep that thought, Reed. That Sheets order. Keep that on mind, in your mind.
All right.
Next question. Water, ice cold or room temperature? Ethan, go.
Ice cold. I don't even have to think about it. Anything that's like not chilled kind of makes my stomach a little queasy. I don't like, especially warm water. Have you ever taken like a drink of like a warm cup or bottle of water and it just kind of brings a queasy feeling to you? I'll even get that when it's somewhat room temperature. So I have to go with the ice cold.
Reed.
Ice
What?
cold.
Ice cold?
Yeah, ice cold. I especially like first thing in the morning, like you get up and you got to reach for something to drink.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm
something
with you.
ice cold.
I'm with you on that. Campus.
All right, so this is how it goes. If it's in a bottle, room temperature. If it's in a cup, bunch of ice in it. I don't know why, but it doesn't taste as good out of the bottle if it's freezing cold, and you can't. I mean, you can chug it, but it's not easy on your throat when it's that cold. And I
Right.
prefer my water room temperature in the
Yeah.
bottle.
There's some people that do not like ice cold water, and personally I love it. I don't understand the thing about not liking ice cold water. So I don't know. But this next question is kind of a play on Ethan's question from our first interview about what kind of dog that I would be. So we'll start with we'll go Reed. We'll start with Reed. If you were an animal in the wild, what would you be and why?
Probably get tiger, because that's like the Chinese zodiac. That's what my year is for that.
Okay.
I kind of like that little correlation. And I mean, that's just a predator there. So survival would be a lot greater for me.
Ethan, don't hurt yourself.
Yeah. that's
Campus,
just
what do you
tough.
got?
This is tough, but I'd probably be like a panther or something. I'd probably say a panther because like I'm just lurking at all times and going with the flow, but I can pop out at any time. I'd say I have a pretty laid back personality, like a panther just chilling out, but I mean, I wouldn't get me too mad. I mean, nothing really gets me too mad, but that's what I'd go with.
Any given moment, right?
Yeah.
Ethan, if you were in the wild, what animal would you be and why?
Excluding my personality at baseball, I'd probably say a panda, because for the most part, and just like in my normal life, I feel like I'm pretty calm and just like happy-go-lucky, and I love to eat. So they're always munching on bamboo. That would just be me with all types of food. Um, baseball or any sports for that matter, I'd be something like a shark probably, because I'm just always ready to go. But and if things go south, I get pretty snappy, pretty angry. So that, like a shark, alligator, kind of an animal that gets angry would be for my baseball personality.
Man, I don't think I could agree more. So during the interview process for this position, our first interaction was in Richardson in the lecture hall. So when you first meet me, I'm speaking to you all, and I have on a suit, tie, all those kind of things. And, we speak for 30, 40 minutes, and then I leave. Then I'm announced the head coach, and then you don't really see me again for the most part until the Bison Challenge. So was there any moment during the Bison Challenge where you guys were like, okay, this guy's kind of crazy? What did we do? Campus, did you think I was crazy during the Bison Challenge?
I don't know about crazy. I thought like right away, I was like, all right, we're playing. We got the Wiz Khalifa on the speakers. It's 6 a.m. The vibes are out the roof. I'm usually not even awake, but you're screaming, getting people pumped up. I forget who was. I think Dev was hanging from the rope on the pull-up bar or whatever, and you're just yelling at them, like getting them fired up, and I'm like, wow. And then you're like, all right, we're gonna run down to the baseball field and back. And then you gave us that speech down at the baseball field, and I'm like, wow, this is really legit. This dude's not playing around. So that's how I felt about that.
All right, so seems like the energy is being covered up,
Juice.
covering the crazy up. That's right. If you're juiceless, you're useless. Ethan, did you think I had a little bit of crazy in me during the Bison Challenge?
Absolutely. I don't I don't like the mornings at all, but it was like a good crazy because I needed that to get me through those, just get pumped up for those the workouts and stuff like that and the Bison Challenge. And yeah, especially with the running to the field, running the field and touching home. I mean, I thought it was crazy, but like I said, it was a good crazy. It wasn't like, oh shoot, why are we doing this? It was, wait a second, how am I so energized right now at 5 a.m. to go lift and to go run to the field and touch home plate for this dude that I really don't know even who he is yet. Like it was just one of those weird feelings, but it was like a good crazy. So it wasn't anything bad. It got me pumped up for what we needed to do for that morning, or those mornings, the whole week.
Reed.
I wouldn't have called you crazy. I mean, I just saw a lot of passion, obviously. I mean, I think we're all pretty passionate people about what we do. And I mean, seeing, like we said, that music never would have happened before, like the Bison Challenge or anything, like with Coach Carve and stuff like that. So, like, 6 a.m., that music's blaring. We got dudes with their shirts off, like, going crazy. I mean, like, it's freezing out and we got people with their shirts off running to the field, like, and then like they said, the speech, I just thought it gave me more motivation like than I've ever probably felt at the collegiate level. I felt like I was kind of in high school, I guess, like where you're just kind of doing it because you want to do it like really, really badly. Like, not that it has changed for us here, because we're not scholarship athletes, but like it just had me ready to run through a wall.
Good. So not crazy, but passionate.
Passionate.
Yeah, that's like anxious and nervous having the same feeling.
Yeah.
All right, so I got 2 more for you. You guys can kind of answer these collectively. Who on the team has the best Coach Thomas impersonation or imitation? And can you guys give us a bit of it, quite possibly, if there's any chance of that? Don't worry about telling on anybody. It's all right. Come on, there's 2 group chats. I know you guys roast me at the other one.
I can't think of anybody with like a really good one just off the bat, though.
You usually weren't the first person anybody would impersonate, if we have to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, that's reasonable too.
Honestly, I would probably just say, like, basically anyone on the team is a pretty good impersonator whenever they send any text with the alert emojis on it. That is whenever I'm like, all right, is it like this message might be from Coach, but we're not sure.
Yeah, those alert symbols. It's the second time. I guess I gotta do something about that, huh?
Yeah.
So,
The only thing I'm actually gonna flip this one. I think you have the best Kyle Goodwin impersonation on the team, Coach. I think that's where I got to go with that.
I don't think. I like to think I might have the best Quest Wilson impersonation.
I think I got that one. I don't know. I might
have to next time we have team lifted, we might have to have a contest if you can be the best.
Yeah, a little skook.
A team vote for the final points. That could be the final challenge.
There you go. So last one here. If the PAC championship came to a karaoke off, who on the team would you pick and what genre of music would it be?
Not even a question. I'm going Matt Colton. And genre, it's got to be like something indie or I don't know. But I would definitely go with him, maybe some rock, like some 80s rock or something. Just because he's
classic rock.
Yeah, something like that.
Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah, I couldn't agree with Reed more on that one.
I would also go with Matt Colton. I'd probably go with like some reggae or something like that because
that'd be good.
and if we let him play the ukulele, then it might get serious too.
Yeah, there you go. We might get an extra run for that. All right, gentlemen. Thank you for your time. It was nice talking to you all again. Hope you guys have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we will see you all soon.
Yes, sir, Coach.
Merry
Appreciate it.
Christmas, Happy New Year,
Merry
guys.
Christmas, Happy New Year, guys.
Yes, sir.